Is this time to celebrate or introspect? Parliament role, is it getting diminished? How do you make Parliament more productive? Just some of the questions I'm going to raise. Trilochan Shastri is Chairman, Association for Democratic Reforms. They look at these issues closely. Syed Zafar Islam is BJP's spokesperson, former MP, and Ajoy Kumar is Congress spokesperson and former MP. Let me come to each of you for your comments. Why don't you start, Ajoy Kumar, first? Because the Congress, in a way, has been in Parliament in the Treasury benches for the longest time in these 75 years. Now you're in the opposition, and y'all are the ones who are accused of running into the well of the House. Karan Singh says he never ran into the well of the House in 50 years. He's saying, please don't disrupt Parliament, don't disrupt question hour. Haath jod ke, he's saying.
Look, Rajdeep, I think the issue is the deterioration, and fundamentally, and I know it sounds political, but I don't think ever in the history of the Parliament we have had such a confrontational government. We had UPA 1, UPA 2. There were issues. There were, Mr. Jaitley did those famous sit-outs, and Sushma Swaraj defended it. But then also it was not so acrimonious. It was never that the journalists were not allowed in the central hall. So it's very combative for the first time. I mean, even before 2014, there were lots of, people rushing into the well and all. But there was a general bonhomie. Now, if I'm caught talking to Zafar Islam at the Central Hall, it would be dangerous for me, or it would be dangerous for Zafar Islam. That's for anybody to decide. But that's a different issue. So that the basic issue is the level of discussion is gone. I'll just give you a couple of data.
No. Why rush into the well of the House? You're not answering my question. I concede that you need to hold the government to account. Is the only way to rush into the well of the House?
So let me ask you a question. When the business committee sits and decides what should be the agenda, look at the special session. Did you know the agenda? Did anybody know the agenda? And you're saying don't rush into the House, respect democracy, but I will beat you up, get into a boxing ring, I'll tie your shoelace, I'll tie your hands, and then you say be the gentleman like Dr. Karan Singh is saying. Did you know the agenda? Did anybody in India know the agenda except for those two people? And is that a special session should be conducted like this on 75 years of Indian democracy? So my question again is, you will push everyone to the wall and say don't rush to the well. My God. The government has got the responsibility to take the opposition, and we are ready to go not halfway, more than halfway. But the problem is this. I mean, can you imagine? You have a special session which you didn't know, I didn't know, nobody knew.
That's a good point. Let me take that point to Zafar Islam. Zafar Islam, you expect the opposition to quote-unquote behave itself, but the government's attitude to Parliament. Today, Mallikarjun Kharge said this has been the Prime Minister who has attended the fewest sittings of Parliament, given the fewest speeches over a period of time. And the special session is on, but we still don't know what is this mysterious historic agenda. You're keeping the opposition and even your own government ministers in the dark. So how does that further parliamentary democracy if at the last moment you're going to bring in something into the agenda in the next couple of days?
Well, Rajdeep, why they are speculating, I don't understand. Their job as a parliamentarian is not to speculate, but also the agenda which is known to them, they should prepare themselves for the debate on the floor of the parliament. While the discretion lies with the government, that they have the discretion, if they want to introduce any bill, they can, because that constitution does give them flexibility to introduce any bill should they feel like introducing to the parliament. But as far as the agenda has been made it very clear to these people, I think they should focus on the agenda which has been known to them, which has been shared with them.
But what
Having said that, I heard Mr. Ajay Kumar,
Zafar bhai,
a former parliamentarian.
Zafar bhai, what if at the last moment something is brought in and you say, no, let's debate it at the last, we are inserting it, slipping it into the agenda tomorrow, day after, and we've got to debate it. Plus, as I showed, and I'll play those graphics again, this is the Lok Sabha with the fewest sittings, fewest questions asked, fewest bills being passed. I mean, somewhere surely that calls for introspection. Where is the celebration?
Well, if at all somebody has to introspect, it is the opposition bench, because as Dr. Karan was saying, that it is very unfortunate that the opposition bench, the only thing they want to disrupt the parliament. That is the only priority they have. They are not interested in any debate. They are not interested in any discussion on the floor of the parliament. What interests them is the disruption of the parliament, and somehow they should be seen on the television that they are disrupting the
but
parliament.
That's exactly,
the
Zafar Islam Bhai, with due regard, that's exactly what Arun did. That's exactly what you did when you were in the opposition between 2009 and 2014 in particular. Arun Jaitley in fact said, obstruction is a legitimate parliamentary tactic.
See, dancing on in the veil, dancing on the table in front of the chair. Has Mr. Jaitley done that? Mr. Jaitley was always advocating of having a discussion, debate, and if the ruling party is not interested in debate, then you can resort to all this disrupting the parliament. But we are always ready for the discussion. It is the opposition bench who are not keen to discuss.
Okay.
We discuss everything in Business Advisory Committee, and next morning they have to discuss all those issues on the floor of the parliament. But the moment you enter, the slogan starts, then they will come to the wall, then they will start shouting, and
so
eventually they will disrupt the parliament.
With due regard,
the House will
the
not
running
function.
of the parliament is the responsibility of the treasury benches. But a quick word from you, Ajay Kumar, and then I'll go to Dr. Shastri. Quick word, yes.
So I just want to point out to Zafarji, when I was in the parliament, the BJP was in opposition, and they were rushing into the well all the time, including Mr. Jaitley and Sushma Swaraji, and they were sending all their people down to the floor of to the well of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It's recorded. They can see umpteen number of
But
videos.
because they did it, because they did it, you don't have to do it. Remember the Telangana, when the Telangana statehood bill was passed, the lights were switched off. So you see, all of you combined have destroyed parliament one by one.
I'm not, one sec, Rajdeep, let me complete. I'm not justifying. Okay, so first question. I hope the parliament, as a personal view, and I'm as a party view, that we want the parliament to run. But most important part is, this is the only parliament which is reduced to sending the bills to the standing committee. There's no study of any bill. The worst legislation possible in the world is being passed. The standing committee, 71% earlier, now 13%. What will generations of Indians pay the price for this arrogant government which refuses to study bills in great details, so that its implementation of that bill doesn't lead to disaster to the common man? And 71% earlier, now 13%. The Prime Minister has spoken in 9 years only twice, except vote on thanks. Only twice. Only twice in 9 years, except the vote of thanks.
When he spoke,
a motion of thanks to the President.
Yeah,
so my question is,
yes.
Yeah, only twice.
Yes.
So and Manmohan Singh ji spoke 30 times. Vajpayee ji spoke 21 times in 5 years. So my question is, what speeches? Yeah, Zafar ji comes and gives us this great, eloquent bhashan of democracy is that, and we love democracy.
Okay,
they do everything opposite.
Let me bring in Dr. Shastri, because we'll have these two views, extreme views. Dr. Shastri, do you sense, as someone who's looking closely through the Association of Democratic Reforms at Parliament, that this is a moment where Parliament needs restructuring? It doesn't need a new building. We need a new parliamentary culture.
You see, Rajdeep, you have raised a very important issue, and I am very happy to hear the views of both the Congress and the BJP honorable members of Parliament and those parties. But, I am going to speak as a citizen, if I am allowed to do so. And as a citizen, I am going to go by the Parliament's own method of introducing a bill. Usually a bill is introduced in first hearing, second reading and third reading. And at any stage, it can be referred to a standing committee. The standing committee can take expert opinion, and after taking expert opinion, it can also ask general public for their opinion. And even in the second reading, there are 2 hearings. And after the third hearing, then the bill is passed. So, you know, as a citizen, I want to ask a simple question. We have been independent from the British rule for 75 years, which is a jolly good thing. How many times has a special parliament session been held? And we hear, and we don't know as citizens, that perhaps something like 8 bills are going to be introduced and perhaps passed because the government is in majority. And what are those bills which are going to affect the citizens of the country? Nobody still knows. So why is this secrecy there? Why is there not a open discussion on how we are going to take this great country forward? And why is the public not informed? And why is this being done in such a hurry? This is something that is a matter of concern to ordinary citizens. So I will just stop, Rajdeep, at this point.
No, but what is, if you wanted a reform,
why is in the
Dr. Shastri, if you wanted one major reform, what would that be? To make Parliament more productive, what would that be?
I think that in a true democracy, any new legislation, the government certainly has a right to introduce a new bill, but it must be through wide consultation and through asking for suggestions from the standing committee, from the opposition parties, from the public in general, and there must be a reasonable debate based on facts, not by rushing into the well. I am also in favor of not rushing into the well, although one can see all sides of the debate, because both the BJP and the Congress over the years have been rushing into the well, and both are defending their points. But that's, as a citizen, I think this is not what we want to do. So what reform, that is a basic question, Rajdeep, you are asking. The reform we would like is a parliamentary discussion on new bills which is based on facts, which is based on public discussion, which is based on the good of the country. The great fear is that every time a bill is introduced, there is a political agenda. There could be a political agenda behind it. When this secrecy is there, the secrecy about what are those 8 bills, the public of India don't know what are those 8 bills. When the secrecy is there, obviously the public will think that why is this not being told to us? What are those bills which are going to affect my day-to-day life? Why are we not informed about it? I think that is a matter of concern, and Parliament should follow all these procedures which are laid down in the parliamentary procedure. I mean, I'm just reading out from how a bill gets. This is from the Lok Sabha. This is the Lok Sabha procedure for introducing a bill. I would request that we follow those procedures and not get into tu mai Congress versus BJP.
I take your point, sir.
And just have.
I think you've given us one reform. At least keep the bills. I don't know how many citizens are looking closely at Parliament. That's my worry. Many citizens have also switched off Parliament, which is very worrying at times. I want a final question from you, the answer therefore from Zafar Islam. Just get rid of the secrecy. Let's have all party meetings before Parliament where these bills are, the agenda is shared in a more transparent manner. What's the problem? Remember how Article 370 was pushed through at the last moment in 2019? There needs to be meaningful debate. Even budgets of this country are being passed without debate, sir. Can that change, Zafar Bhai?
See, the mindset has to change. Like I just heard Dr. Ajay Kumar, that he said that in the Central Hall, if you talk to somebody from the BJP, there will be problem for him. In our party, there is no such mindset. In fact, we have been encouraged always to interact with every other parliamentarian from any other political parties. Because the work you are doing, that should be known to them, and they will not disrupt the parliament. Unfortunately, their agenda is to disrupt the parliament, and sometimes it is purposely done it. And they have no intention of discussing.
So you're saying the secrecy is because the government. You're saying the secrecy is because the government fears otherwise the opposition will disrupt a bill, which is unfortunately reveals the lack of trust between the government and the opposition. Democracy is based on trust. You need the citizens to trust our MPs and our MPs to trust each other. That trust has gone, which is why I said today is a day for introspection, not necessarily celebration. I appreciate my guests joining me on my big talking point.